5.17 hours, Red Sea, 214 nautical miles southwest of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. The surface is glassy. A pale pre-dawn light traces the horizon in thin amber. Aboard USS Abraham Lincoln, the night watch rotates with quiet professionalism. Then every radar screen on the ship lights up simultaneously. The AN/SPY-6 air and missile defense radar does not guess. It calculates. At 05:17:43 hours, it classifies 34 distinct inbound contacts, a combined swarm of subsonic cruise missiles, Iranian-derived Shahed 136 loitering munitions, and 3 Quds-4 medium-range ballistic variants arcing across the upper atmosphere. The contacts are not staggered. They are timed, coordinated to arrive in overlapping waves designed to saturate and overwhelm. The tactical action officer aboard Lincoln has exactly 4 minutes before the leading edge of the threat envelope collapses to terminal range. He does not hesitate. Strike Group Defense Condition, Ultra. Every ship in Carrier Strike Group 3 comes alive. The battle space, moments ago calm, is now a kill zone, and the United States Navy intends to own every cubic mile of it. At 05:18 hours, USS Leyte Gulf, the Ticonderoga-class cruiser, positioned 22 nautical miles northwest of the carrier, achieves fire control radar lock on 11 inbound contacts simultaneously. The AN/SPY-1B phased array antenna spins no longer. It illuminates. Track data streams in real time across the entire strike group's cooperative engagement capability network. Every ship sees what Leyte Gulf sees. Every ship fires as one. At 05:19 hours, the first Standard Missile 6 launches. Then another. Then 6 more in a salvo burst that shakes the cruiser from keel to mast. The SM-6 is not a defensive weapon in the passive sense of the word. It is an interceptor with offensive ambition, active radar seeker, Mach 3.5 terminal velocity, a blast fragmentation warhead engineered to detonate with surgical precision inside the kill radius of an inbound threat. The first 2 missiles climb to 80,000 feet. The geometry is favorable. The math is lethal. At 05:21 hours, the first intercept. A Quds-4 ballistic missile, descending at extreme angle, speed exceeding Mach 5, encounters an SM-6 at 61,000 feet altitude, 148 nautical miles from Lincoln. The detonation is visible from the flight deck. A white flash expands against the pre-dawn sky. Debris falls into international waters. The first threat neutralized. 33 remain. At 05:23 hours, USS Benfold and USS John Finn, the 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers assigned to the carrier's close escort screen, begin their own engagement sequences. Both ships fire Mark 41 vertical launch system salvos, SM-2 Block 3 IC missiles assigned to the mid-tier swarm elements. These are the Shahed loitering munitions, slow, low observable, flying at wave-top altitude to avoid radar horizon. The SM-2 is adapted for exactly this fight. 16 missiles airborne within 90 seconds. The destroyer's combat information centers are controlled chaos, operators cycling through track files, assigning intercept solutions, clearing launch, authorization in 3-second intervals. At 05:25 hours, the MH-60R Seahawk helicopter assigned to Lincoln's anti-surface warfare screen repositions at maximum speed. The crew has been tasked with a secondary mission, positively identify and engage the Houthi fast attack craft, believed to have served as the forward launch platform for this strike package. The platform, a modified 35-meter dhow operating, under commercial cover, is located 67 nautical miles due west. It is no longer commercially covered. The Seahawk crew arms their AGM-65 Maverick air-to-surface missiles. Target lock achieved. 2 missiles away, the dhow does not transmit again. At 05:27 hours, the swarm compresses. The outer engagement layer, the SM-6 and SM-2 intercepts, has destroyed 19 inbound contacts. 15 threats remain. They are now inside 40 nautical miles. The nature of the fight shifts. The long-range shooters have done their work. Now the close-in architecture assumes primary responsibility. At 0528 hours, USS Leyte Gulf transitions from SM engagement to rolling airframe missile. The RAM launcher, 21 ready rounds, begins cycling. The RAM system requires no external radar illumination. It homes autonomously, passive radio frequency, and infrared. The approaching Shahed drones are radiating heat signatures. The RAM missiles find them with indifference to countermeasures. At 0529 hours, USS Benfold activates its Phalanx close-in weapon system. The M61A1 Vulcan rotary cannon spins to operating speed, 4,500 rounds per minute of radar-guided 20mm depleted tungsten. The system designates threats without human input. It fires without human delay. 3 Shahed drones cross inside 2 nautical miles. The Phalanx finds all 3. The sound, a sustained, grinding roar unlike any conventional weapons discharge, carries across the water to Lincoln's flight deck. At 0531 hours, the sky around USS Abraham Lincoln erupts. 4 surviving threats penetrate to the carrier's inner defense ring. Inside 3 nautical miles, descending, closing. This is the moment every defense architect fears. This is the scenario that keeps carrier strike group commanders awake at night. 4 inbound, simultaneously, different vectors, staggered altitudes. Lincoln's own defensive systems engage. The carrier's Phalanx CIWS, 2 mounts port and starboard, acquire separate. Targets. Mount 1 fires first. A Shahed drone at bearing 247 degrees, range 1.8 nautical miles, altitude 40 feet above the wave tops. The tungsten stream finds it. The drone disintegrates. Fuel and fragmentation fall into the sea 1.6 nautical miles from the ship. Mount 2 acquires the second threat simultaneously. Range 2.1 nautical miles bearing 312 degrees. The drone is executing a terminal spiral, an evasion maneuver pre-programmed to defeat radar prediction algorithms. The Phalanx compensates. The burst walks the target. Impact, detonation. The warhead detonates approximately 200 meters from Lincoln's port quarter. Fragmentation reaches the ship's hull. Non-penetrating. No casualties at this station. The damage control teams are already moving. The 3rd and 4th contacts, both Shahed variants, converge from the starboard beam. Benfold, positioned 1.4 nautical miles off Lincoln's starboard quarter, places itself between the carrier and both inbounds. The RAM launcher fires twice in rapid succession. Both missiles track. Both detonate. Both threats destroyed, at ranges of 1.1 and 0.9 nautical miles from Lincoln's hull. The RAM system has just saved the carrier. At 0532 hours, the last inbound threat is classified, tracked, engaged, and destroyed. The engagement is over in 15 minutes. 34 threats launched, 34 threats destroyed or rendered non-effective. The USS Abraham Lincoln is still in the fight. At 0547 hours, 15 minutes after initial contact, silence reclaims the Red Sea. Damage assessment teams move through Lincoln with methodical precision. The fragmentation impact on the port quarter has left surface scoring across a 12-meter section of hull plating, non-structural. 2 sailors in an exterior station sustained minor lacerations from secondary fragmentation. Both treated aboard ship. Both returned to duty within the hour. Across the strike group, the accounting is swift. USS Leyte Gulf, no damage, 24 SM-6 and SM-2 rounds expended. USS Benfold, no damage, RAM launcher reloading cycle initiated. USS John Finn, no damage, 3 rounds of deck gun expenditure against surface debris. The Seahawk crew returns to the ship with gun camera footage confirming destruction of the forward launch platform. The DAO that coordinated and dispatched the swarm. Rescue operations extend across a 40 nautical mile debris field. No survivors are recovered from the launch platform site. No search and rescue assets are diverted from Lincoln's protection posture. The strike group remains at heightened alert. The tactical action officer logs the engagement. The after action. Report begins immediately. Threats. 15 minutes. 2 sailors with minor injuries. The math of modern carrier defense, validated in live fire over international waters. The tactical lessons were immediate, unambiguous, and delivered at the cost of an adversary that spent months accumulating the material for this strike package. The first lesson is architectural. The Cooperative Engagement Capability Network, the invisible connective tissue linking every sensor and every shooter across Carrier Strike Group 3, performed precisely as designed. Every radar track flowed instantly to every fire control computer. The result was not 4 ships fighting independently. It was 4 ships functioning as a single integrated weapons system spanning 22 nautical miles of ocean. The SM-6 intercept at 148 nautical miles was not USS Lady Gulf defending itself. It was the entire strike group defending its most valuable asset from beyond visual range before the threat had any opportunity to adapt. The second lesson is layered defense. No single system stopped this attack. The SM-6 intercepted ballistic variants at altitude. The SM-2 engaged mid-tier cruise threats at medium range. The RAM system handled the low-slow terminal threats that the larger interceptors are not optimized to engage. The phalanx provided the final physical barrier when all other layers were stressed. Each system performed its assigned role. None were asked to compensate for another. The result was a defense-in-depth architecture that met the swarm's deliberate saturation design with a response the swarm's architects had not fully modeled. The third lesson is about cost asymmetry, and it cuts in both directions. The Houthi strike package represented significant material investment. 34 precision munitions, a launch platform, months of logistics and positioning. The cost to the United States Navy, 2 sailors with minor injuries, surface hull scoring, and the expenditure of interceptor rounds that are already being restocked through pre-positioned logistics chains in the theater. The exchange ratio is devastating, but it is also honest. Each SM-6 costs approximately $4 million. Each Shahed drone costs approximately $20,000. The mathematics of attrition favor the attacker in unit cost, and this fundamental asymmetry will shape every strategic conversation about sustained Red Sea operations going forward. Strategic ramifications cascaded across the region within hours of the engagement. Iran's proxies had demonstrated the capacity to coordinate a 34-element swarm attack against a nuclear-powered carrier. The United States Navy had demonstrated the capacity to defeat it without loss of a major asset. Both facts are now embedded in every threat assessment produced by every regional defense establishment from Riyadh to Tel Aviv to Muscat. This engagement fundamentally reshaped the tactical calculus for anyone calculating whether a carrier strike group operating in restricted waters is a viable target or an unacceptable risk. What the Houthis chose to demonstrate was ambition. What the United States Navy chose to demonstrate was something different. A fully integrated, multi-layer, network-enabled defensive architecture operating at combat tempo under saturation conditions, with a result measured not in seconds of survival, but in complete threat negation. The question every adversary planner must now answer is not whether a future swarm can be made larger. The question is whether a larger swarm can produce a different outcome, and on the evidence of 0517 to 0532 hours, Red Sea, the answer is not obvious in their favor. In 15 minutes, 34 weapons were launched. In 15 minutes, 34 weapons were destroyed. USS Abraham Lincoln continues her transit. The flight deck is operational. The strike group is at sea, at readiness, and at will. The strait remains open, not through diplomacy, not through deterrence by declaration, but through the demonstrated, documented, and irrefutable capability to kill every threat before it reaches the hull.